Oh, I love the sound of the old Chicago Stadium organ, and that means it's time for the most okayest Blackhawks podcast on the planet, The Second Balcony, with me, Greg Boyson, and our guy, the ever name-changing Frank Nova, our resident Florida man.
And the okayest boomer.
Yes, I agree. Well, we got a little break in the action. The Blackhawks, after a pretty crazy week last week of 4 games, only have 2 games this week and don't play again until Thursday as we're recording this on Monday. And a successful stretch they're on, points in 4 straight, 7 out of the last 8 points. Coming off a big win against the Anaheim Ducks last night in overtime. And lost to a shootout on Friday to the Vancouver Canucks, a game they should have won, but Kelly Sellerman is a clown, and
well, not just him, but the guys in the video room. I was like, come on, a couple of whacks from the stick. That's not goaltender interference.
No, it just
Vancouver's not a good enough team to get that call.
Not on the road. Yeah. Maybe in Vancouver because you fear for your life because those guys will burn down the city again. But I don't know, man. I hate replay in sports, all sports. Like it's good in theory, but in practice it's hot garbage because you take black and white rules and all of a sudden they're in 3,000 shades of gray because nobody knows what goalie interference is anymore. Nobody knows what offside is anymore. And if you got to Zapruder film something for 3 minutes to see if a guy was offside, just whatever was called stands. Like if it's not obvious, like I hate it in baseball because now we're, guy's pinky came off the base for a split second while the tag was on. He's out, even though he beat the ball by 3 seconds. I hate that. That's not what it's there for. Replay in hockey should only be for was it a goal or not. That's all they should review.
Yeah, or offsides. There's times where offsides happen so fast you can't tell. But yeah, what happens is the spirit of the rules gets thrown out. And, the slide in baseball is the perfect example. It's like tag or no tag and not, the nanosecond that a guy might lose contact with the bag. And even when I saw the replay, I was like, okay, there's, he whacked the guy in the pads a couple times, but a hockey stick, even, I don't care how strong you are. And okay, Tyler Bertuzzi's a fairly strong guy, but he's not Hercules. He's not going to push a goalie pad that much.
Not with one hand.
No.
Goalie interference to me is you prevented the goalie from making a save.
Right.
That was not a save. Like he did not move the goalie at all. He whacked the puck from underneath the skate into the net. That's, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a really bad call when people on social media, when the Blackhawks are feeling sorry for on social media. That's a rare feat. Most people, believe it or not, outside of Chicago hate the Blackhawks for numerous reasons. And even lots of non-Blackhawk fans are like, man, the Blackhawks got screwed on that call. So it cost them a point ultimately. And they as bad as that was, they still had a chance to win that game. And they got it to a shootout. And shootouts are frustrating. You send Bedard and Nazar out there who have been fantastic this season. They are superstars in the making, but when you're superstars in the making, it wouldn't kill you to score on a shootout every once in a while.
Well, what's funny is Bedard and Nazar are both guys who the way they score goals isn't really set up for a shootout, at least not yet. I could see at some point Bedard being like Jonathan Taves, where his shot is so quick that he could point at the 5 hole and still get the puck through. And with Taves, that's what you got. We were so spoiled for so many years with the shootout because the first guy up was Taves. Everybody in the building, including the goalie, knew he was going 5-hole. And then he would still get the puck in the net. And the second guy up was always Patrick Kane. And Patrick Kane had the best hands in the galaxy. And he would slow down to almost standstill and just deke, 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 deke. And after like the 15th deke, the goalie was just exasperated. And then third up was Marian Hossa, who just skate to the faceoff circle, wind up, and let it rip.
That's my favorite shootout goal of all time is the Marian Hossa just inside the blue line slap shot.
Yeah. It was just brutal. It was so much fun. There was actually no art to it at all.
No.
It was
grip it and rip it.
And that's Marian Hossa. That's exactly what that man is about.
Yeah, so disappointing loss, but they followed it up Sunday with a real nice win. Just the resiliency this team has shown so far early in the season. That's been the buzzword lately is resiliency. But this is a team that in the last couple of years would have folded numerous times in last night's game and every game essentially, except for the Blues game, where they once they took the lead 3-2, they were off and running, but they're just not. I don't know if it's confidence, if it's the naiveness of youth where you always think you're in because that's what you believe. But whatever it is, this team is never out. And some of the moments that impress me. I mean, we talked about that third period in St. Louis last time about how they just kept coming at them. They weren't satisfied with a 3-goal lead. But in that Ducks game Sunday night, they give up the game tying goal with less than a minute to play, 36 seconds, I think it was, on the power play, 6-on-4 power play. And then what do? They go right down the ice and they almost score 20 seconds later. That game almost didn't go to overtime.
I know.
Nazar had a huge chance. So those are the moments where I'm like, this team is not going to let anything affect them. Now, will there be times in this season where, that doesn't happen? I'm sure there will be. But to have this much confidence in yourselves this early in a season has been super impressive.
And the only thing I wanted last night was for Kaiser to get the game-winning goal. Because he had a good game, and then he flipped the puck over the glass. And, as he was getting his play together as a young defenseman, how many times have we seen Nicholas Hjalmarsson do that?
Oh, yeah.
I think there was one year Hjalmarsson led the NHL in delay of game penalties from flipping the puck.
I mean, the best in the game do it. Makar does it. Hughes does it. It happens. It's a stupid rule, but I get why it's there. But he wasn't trying to do that intentionally. He was trying to get the puck out of the zone, and it was rolling when he hit it. So, and at that time, it was just like, oh man, I feel so bad for Wyatt Kaiser because he was so good all night long.
Yeah,
he made a sprawling shot block into the one and only time Spencer Knight lost his cage. He was there to prevent a goal just a few minutes earlier when it was still 0-0. I thought maybe it might have been 1-0 already at that point, but he'd been so good all game. I think Wyatt Kaiser, when I get to watch the home games from the press box and you're up high, Wyatt Kaiser is the best defenseman on the Blackhawks when it comes to reading passes. He's so good at knowing where the play is going, anticipating it, and just breaking up the play and heading it back up the ice. He's the best Blackhawk at that.
Yeah, and the other side of the coin so far this year, I mean, Sam Rinzel is going to be very good, but you can see where he's not, especially when he has the puck in his own end, he's not good at seeing what's about to happen. And that comes with experience. He can see what's happening. He can't see what's about to happen. And that's why he's had so many giveaways this year already. And, like, I almost feel like at some point, because Korchinski's playing well in Rockford, and I think this is the sort of thing at some point Korchinski will come up, and Renzel, if he doesn't have it together by then, he could probably be well served just because to be able to see the play unfold, see things before they happen. The AHL is slower than the NHL, so you can kind of see things unfold at a little bit slower pace. And it gives a guy like Renzel or Korchinski that opportunity to kind of see where the holes are about to form to get the puck up the ice.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an option. It's a nice option to have.
Oh yeah,
the 7 defenseman strategy seems to be working well. It's definitely helping those young guys be sheltered when they have to be, pull back when they have to be, or be rewarded. It's been Wyatt Kaiser that's been leading the defenseman in ice time the last couple of games. And, I'm not a huge fan. I've never been a huge fan of the 7 defensemen, 11 forwards, but Blashill, when he explained it the other day, it made perfect sense on why he wants to do it. And he's confident in doing it. He's done it a lot. He did it when he coached juniors. He did it in Detroit. Tampa has done it a lot over the last couple of years when he was there. So, and it also allows Connor Bedard to get out there and bumslay a little bit, going up against some fourth liners every once in a while. And the goals are definitely going to come for him soon.
Oh yeah.
But they've got a luxury of having the 7 young the 7 defensemen now, most of them young. Blashill is implementing them well. I don't think we would have had that under Richardson or Sorensen. It would have been like, okay, Lev Shanov, go out and play 23 minutes a night and just sink or swim.
Right. You were the number 2 pick. This is what we were expecting of you.
Yeah.
And, the other thing, too, is the 11-7 works really well right now because right now the Blackhawks are much deeper at defense than they are at forward. They've got some veteran guys who won't be there next year.
Right.
And these are guys who, it's got to be funny at the end of when the trade deadline comes, you might see Kyle Davidson move some veteran forwards, not because he's folding up the tent and he wants to just see what kind of draft picks he can stockpile, but more of he's going to have to make room for some guys.
Right.
And
yeah,
we're kind of, we're not there yet with the 2 guys we're going to spend some time talking about in a little bit, and everyone knows who those 2 guys are. But eventually that's going to have to happen. But for now, they've got 11 forwards you can roll out there. You've got 7 defensemen, and because you've got the 7 defensemen, you can also kind of mix and match your defensemen depending on, if you're in the defensive zone, you can throw defensive guys out there. You might want to throw a couple shot blockers out there sometimes when you've got the other team's first line. You don't always have to have a first pair, a second pair, a third pair. Right. There's got to be times where you'll want to have you could throw like Kaiser and Vlasic out there or Crevier with one of those guys, and they could just get in the way of pucks. And we're gonna like this coming week they're gonna play Tampa. Tampa's gonna be, they might roll on 11-7 too.
Could be.
So you'll see it on both ends, but it'll be one of those things where every time God, I'm tired. The guy who usually wins the Art Ross trophy or is right.
Kucherov,
thank you. Because I was thinking, I knew we had like a single syllable nickname, Cooch. And which, by the way, we have to come up with good nicknames for Bedard and Nazar, especially Nazar. Nazar is too much fun to not have a nickname.
Yeah. Bedard gets the Bedsy, the lame hockey nickname. They're really, I don't know really what's going. Yeah, we should come up with a good one for Frank Nazar.
Like I was kind of calling him Frankie Red Light.
I know that first development camp he was at, he told everybody that people called him Sinatra because he did things his way. And I was like, that's lame, dude. That ain't gonna work.
Yeah, no. Don't. First of all, don't roll into camp with your own nickname.
Yeah, that might play in the sticks, but that's not gonna work in the big city.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in a room full of hockey players.
Yeah. So maybe we'll throw that in our Facebook group. Come up with some Frank Nazar nicknames.
Frankie the Flash is a pretty good one.
Yeah, I know. My buddies at CHGO have been calling him Frankie Franchise.
Bedard's the franchise guy.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come up with that. If you are hanging out on Facebook, look up Second Balcony and join our Facebook group there.
Yeah.
Lots of fellow degenerates hanging out over there, so we appreciate that.
And best of all, no politics. It's the one place on Facebook we promise no politics.
Right. I mean, there's plenty of other places to get that. We don't need it in the Second Balcony Facebook group. So come and join over there. And
now, the Second Balcony, we're all about beer baths and banging on plywood.
Not necessarily in that order.
Well, one usually followed the other. The night the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup in 2015, my wife and I were at the game, and when Patrick Kane scored the goal with like 5 minutes left, we got a beer bath. And I remember turning to my wife and saying, "Honey, you just entered Chicago Stadium." That was the only time I ever got a beer bath in the United Center.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to get a beer bath, for a Stanley Cup final clinching goal. It's another thing to get one, during pregame warmups on a Wednesday night against the Minnesota North Stars.
Right. I still like the North Stars.
Yeah, I do too. That's why I don't like the Dallas Stars. The Minnesota Wild don't bother me. They're just like that cute little brother that tries real hard. They don't,
except in whenever they have preseason games, they always goon it up.
Well, because it's their AHL. The Iowa Wild are always just goons. Just Federal League goons.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think the Hawks should have them in the Curvers anymore. Too many plugs.
Well, next year the Curvers is in Chicago.
Yep.
And I have
a brand spanking new Fifth Third Arena, the Fifth Third Champions Arena where the Chicago Steel are going to play. That should be fun.
Yeah. And I love the fact that the Steel are going to play there.
Finally going to be in Chicago.
Yeah. And what's funny is back before our careers of being alive, even before my career of being alive, or maybe I was still a kid, what used to happen was NHL teams would have working agreements with junior teams. That obviously isn't the case anymore. But the Blackhawks had the St. Catharines Teepees. So any guy who played junior hockey in St. Catharines, you knew that those guys were, if the first team to have dibs on all those guys were the Blackhawks. Right. So Bobby Hull came through there, and Moose Vasco, and Stan Mikita, and I think Pierre Palat played. Pierre Palat was one of the rare French players to not go through the Quebec Ramparts, Montreal Junior Canadiens up to Montreal. Basically you had him in Chicago, and you had Rod Gilbert and Jean Rattel in New York, and that was it. And Rattel probably had a better career in Boston anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, the Steel coming to Chicago. That's going to be a lot of fun. We got to take a little tour of the construction back in the spring, back in May or June. So it's everything that's going to be there is really cool. I'm super excited to see the Blackhawks Hall of Fame. They're going to have the physical Hall of Fame will be there. They're going to have this cool display with 100 sticks, one for each season, and they're going to add a stick each year. And then the Stanley Cup year sticks will be different color than the rest of them, so they stand out. And they'll have the team name. They'll have all the players on each stick for each season. So
I was saying,
lots of cool stuff.
They didn't like go out and find like one of Mush March's old sticks or something, did they?
No, but I bet you they could find one. I'm sure they got one in a closet next to 300 Duncan Keith sticks.
Yeah.
But get back to this year's Hawks. Now that we've got 7 games in and a couple days to kind of soak it all in, who surprised you the most? I mean, there's a long list of candidates of guys who are surprising, producing well, playing well. But who tops that list for you?
For me, Louis Crevier. I really expected Crevier was going to be spending a lot of time in the press box, and he's been much better than I was expecting, much better than I saw last year. And one of the things is he's actually playing with an edge that he didn't have last year. And a guy that size, you don't want him to, you don't want him to be John Scott, because he's not John Scott. But what you do want is, like last year, there was one game where I remember he just absolutely freight trained Tom Wilson, and it was great. A, it was Tom Wilson, and B, when a guy the size of Crevier lays out somebody who doesn't get laid out all that often, it kind of word gets around the league pretty quickly. And it's one of those things. There are guys who will take a hit to make a play, but if you've got a guy the size of Louis Crevier making the hit, it's a little bit tougher. It's not like you're getting drilled by Kevin Korchinski out there.
Right. Yeah, Crevier's been as solid as they come. His reach and his stride will cover up a lot of blemishes out there.
Yeah, his skating has gotten a lot better.
Yeah. He's late round pick. Spent a year and a half in Indy in the ECHL, and it was just kind of like, oh, here's this guy. He's really tall. That's all we could say about him. And then he worked his ass off a couple seasons in Rockford, and you can't take him out of the lineup right now. He's been that good.
No, you
just
can't.
A steady,
he's the reason
solid
they're running
presence.
11-7.
Yeah. I mean, he's just. You know exactly what you're going to get from Louis Crevier every night. There's no surprises. There hasn't been a single play this season where I've gone, Louis, what are you doing? No, he knows where to be. And, as I said, he's got that reach and he's got the stride to where if he does get caught out of position, it doesn't take very much for him to make up the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times when you get guys that are that tall, it's funny. One of those sayings you always hear in hockey. It's like training camp, you always hear best shape of my life. Yeah. And the other thing you always hear is skates well for his size. And Crevier actually just skates well, period.
Yeah. I mean, I think that
I'm not going to sit here and say he's Cole McCarr. He's not, but he's not out there. He's not being a liability out there.
He's not John Scott.
No.
I think the days of the big, lanky guys unable to skate are long gone. Everybody skates now. Everybody, you can't not be you have to skate to play in the NHL today. Very few guys can get to the NHL and be below average skaters. It's a different game. Every year it gets faster. And, the Blackhawks said it a couple of years ago. If you can't skate, you can't be a Blackhawk.
Yeah.
And there are skills coaches all across the world making lots and lots of money to teach guys how to be better skaters. And it's working.
Even Connor Bedard, you see the difference in his skating this year.
Yep. I mean, it's making a world of difference in his play. Um, as far as my biggest surprise, just I think mostly it's a surprise because I had zero expectations for this player. But it's Andre Burakovsky. Um, I know he's had success in the past. He's a two-time Stanley Cup winner. He was really good in Colorado, but look at that team that he had around. You know, that cup-winning team was loaded. You get to play on a line with Nathan McKinnon, you better have at least 65 points. Like that team was stacked, and it worked out. And he went to Seattle, and it just between injuries and just that team wasn't as good. So I had no expectations when that move was made. I was just kind of like, man, okay, whatever. But he's been really good. I mean, he's played on that top line. He's played on the second power play unit, which at times has been better than the first power play unit. You know, he's can skate really well. He gets that puck through the neutral zone so quickly. And he's got that veteran poise, and he's a really good passer as well. Like he's just another one of these guys that's just kind of like he's really good, but you don't notice it half the time because he's just so consistent and so smooth out there. So he's probably my biggest surprise. Like I you know aware of him, knew that he was a good player, but I just wasn't expecting him to gel so well with this team right off the bat.
And the one other guy I'd probably say, and this will go into the next. Dear listeners, we actually do put together an outline where we have the points we're going to discuss during the show. And I'm now going to segue into our next one, and that's Brian Donato. Because last year, he had the 30 goals, he got the contract, and I was like, well, you know, a lot of times when you get a veteran like Donato who all of a sudden gets 30, and then you go and give him a new contract, that's just going to bite you in the ass because he's never going to get 30 again. But he's been moved up and down the lineup, playing all different roles. He's got 3 goals in 7 games. And guess what, kids? 3 goals in 7 games. If he keeps that pace through the year, he's got another 30 goals.
Yeah.
And last year I said, you know, he scored 30 goals, but I don't think of him as a 30-goal scorer. He's not a guy who's going to give you 30 goals a year. But he might. And, you know, having that guy on the same team as Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar, who, you know, I really think Bedard's going to get to at least 90 points this year, if not 100. And Nazar is going to make a lot of noise this year. So when you got a guy like Donato who can kind of be your Swiss Army knife and score wherever he is, that's going to be big.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes a lot of pressure off the top 6. And I mean, this was a guy that, you know, started the year on the top line and then, you know, got moved down and didn't have any points his first 3 games. So of course, you know, in our knee-jerk overreaction, instant result society we live in, people, you know, didn't have a hat trick on the first night. This must be Brian Bickell's contract all over again. But he's got, you know, 3-game goal streak, 4-game point streak, 5 points in the last 4 games, the overtime winner Sunday night. He's just one of those guys, man, that's just always in the right place on the ice. You know, he can make that finesse play, or he'll run your ass over if you let him. Like he's just, and he's another guy that shows you that, you know, once you get better skating, good things are going to happen because he added so much speed to his game the previous offseason heading into the 30-goal season, and he kept working at it. And he's a really good skater. He's one of the best finishers on this team, at least consistent wise, you know, and, you know, I think, you know, yes, small sample size, less than 10% of the games have been played, but I think he's already proven that last year wasn't a fluke.
Yeah. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to go off on a tangent here. Now, I don't think we've ever discussed Brian Bickell's contract on the second balcony. And because you brought it up, and I want to say something here, which is Brian Bickell's contract was fine. It was
I
a
had no
good
problem with it.
contract. He signed for 4 years, $16 million in the same summer that David Clarkson got 6 and 36. And I think David Krejci, I think, got a big bundle. There were power forwards signing for a lot more money and a lot more years than Brian Bickle did. So we of course at the time didn't know what was going on with Brian Bickle.
Right. Yeah, hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, for a $4 million a year guy, he was fine. And he wanted to be a Blackhawk. I have no doubt in my mind that he left 2 years and $20 million on the table to do it.
Yeah, I mean, and he was coming off that ridiculous playoff run of 2013.
I really thought he was going to get the Clarkson deal.
Yeah, 9 goals and 17 points in those 23 playoff games that year. Had they not signed him, the people would have rioted. Like he was such a valuable player during that 2013 playoff run. And even 2014, he was still pretty good. He had 7 goals in 2014.
Yeah.
And then things started to derail, and as you said, now we know why. But no, the only thing that ultimately made me hate that contract is because you had to give up Teuvo Teravainen to get rid of the contract. But that's because Stan Bowman is a garbage general manager.
Yeah, the reason they had to trade Teuvo Teravainen was because when it was gold watch time for Brent Seabrook, they gave him that huge contract.
Yeah.
It was the Brent Seabrook contract that cost you Teravainen, not the Bickle contract.
Right. And that Brent Seabrook contract was, and I love Brent Seabrook, great player.
Me too. The man was a lion.
Yeah.
He was an absolute lion for the Blackhawks.
Everybody knew that deal was bad when it was signed. Nobody was like, wow, that's really going to be great. No, everybody knew that deal was going to be poison for that team at some point. And unfortunately, it got bad a lot quicker than I feared.
Yeah, because guys like Seabrook and Nicholas Hjalmarsson, their style of play is not made for longevity. They block way too many shots and they throw way too many hits, and their bodies take a beating, and their bodies, they have a much longer they have much shorter expiration date on their bodies. As opposed to somebody like Patrick Kane, who, he's one of the best at avoiding getting hit in the NHL.
Right.
It's not that people don't want to hit him; they can't, even now.
Well, he got hit the other night, and it cost him at least 1 game, so they're starting to catch him.
Yeah, well, that happens with everybody.
It just took them 16 years before they could finally catch him. So the Bickle deal was not the worst thing in the world.
No.
And I think a lot of people now can look back on it and say, yeah, that wasn't that bad when all things considered.
Yeah. So anyway, I had to get that off my flabby chest.
and Brian Bickle is an awesome guy. Just a really good dude too. Does a lot. That has a dog rescue that he's involved in, and just a really good guy. So glad things are working out for him as the big dumper just hit another homer.
Eyes on the prize here. We're a hockey podcast.
I know. Well, okay, all right, fine. I'll tie it into hockey. We all knew the Seattle
Brian
Mariners
Bickle had a big dumper.
Yeah, that too. But we all knew the Seattle Mariners were going to win tonight. The second Vlad Guerrero Jr. walked into the Rogers Center in a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey.
Thinking?
Let's wear an Austin Matthews Toronto Maple Leaf jersey walking in to play Game 7. You idiot.
The only thing that would have been worse would have been if the crew chief umpire came in dressed as Kerry Frazier.
The best tweet I saw, the best comment I saw on that clip was somebody replied, well, somehow the Boston Bruins are now going to win Game 7 of the ALCS. Yeah. So, yeah, Vlad, buddy, read some history, man. I mean, I bet you, and the best part was there were so many Toronto Blue Jay fans online going, oh, man, what are you doing?
I know.
So there you go. Tied it back in the hockey.
Yeah. That was hilarious. And we started talking about before we recorded, we're like, we can't talk about it now because that was made for us. That was like such great material. We had to get it on here. You know?
Yes, I definitely threw a few bucks online on the Mariners once I saw that. I was like, yep, this is done. This is over. So yeah, good stuff there. And I love Vlad Guerrero Jr. He's one of my favorite players. His dad is one of my favorite players of all time.
Oh yeah.
So it sucks that he's gonna have to learn a hard lesson.
Yep.
All right, back to hockey. Back to hockey. We did get a report earlier this week or over the weekend from the great Elliot Friedman that the Blackhawks and Kyle Davidson are talking about a contract extension, which should surprise nobody.
Right.
I don't know how long his original contract was. They never released that. That information is nowhere to be found. A lot of times the general manager coach's contract, they don't really put the details, and that is not necessary because they'll get fired at any time or they'll keep the job as long as they want it if you're good at it.
And it doesn't really factor in anything.
No, this doesn't go against the cap or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would assume his original deal was probably 4 seasons. He came on at the end, officially got the interim title removed towards the end of that 21-22 season. So I bet you he got 4 years beyond that. So next year is likely the last year of his deal. So they'll get that done beforehand, but nobody should be surprised and or upset. I know his record is not great, but that doesn't matter. That's never been but it's what you're seeing now that should have you like, okay, this is going good. What we have here is going good. He looks like, again, small sample size, but he looks like he got the coaching hire right after swinging and missing on the first one.
Well, the coaching hire is right, and you don't need the sample size for that. All you have to do is listen to the way the players are talking.
Yeah.
And the fact that they all believe in what they're doing, and they've bought into Blashill's system. And, this is something, not since they were winning cups did you ever have that buy-in in the clubhouse with the Blackhawks and their coach. Not right. You didn't have it with Richardson. You sure as God hell did not have it with Jeremy Colliton.
No.
There were nights where I thought Jeremy Colliton was going to get beaten to death by Taves, and Taves was going to beat him to death with a stick.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a game right before he got fired where he just emasculated him by taking the clipboard away from him during the timeout late in the game and drew up the play himself. It says, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do this. I mean, that was the end right there. That was doomed from day one. And as much as I liked Luke Richardson, just he was trying to get the team to play like it was 1987.
Right.
Back his rookie year, and it just wasn't ever going to work. So he's definitely got the Blashill hire right. You look at, what's here. You look at what's coming. I mean, the only thing he hasn't done yet look at the trades he's made. He's won a ton of trades. Go back to Jason Dickinson. Go back to Ilya Mikheyev taking second-round picks to take those guys off the books from Vancouver. Got a first-round pick to get Peter Mrazek, and Peter Mrazek was your starter for 2.5 years.
And going into Tampa this week, which they're doing, you can look at Brandon Hagel and say that Brandon Hagel became Frank Nazar and Sasha Boisvert. Or pardon me, Oliver Moore and Sasha Boisvert. So they might win that trade. when all said and done.
Or at least there'll be one where both teams benefit.
Yeah.
I will not stand for Taylor Radish erasure though. Right now, we gotta remember those 3 goals he had. Those were fun.
Hey, he was like 3 times the Blackhawk that Andrew Ebbett ever was.
Taylor Radish was a disappointment for the fact that, like, when you saw him and you were just like, my God, this guy is a beast. And then he played and you were like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But no, he's won numerous trades. Just look, Joe Veleno for Andre Burakovsky is another deal. He's made some really good smart
didn't
trades.
Make the team, right?
No, they bought him out. They bought him out almost immediately, and now he's a healthy scratch with the Canadians.
Yeah.
So, at least he'll be able to watch some playoff games from the press box. That'd be a switch for him. He's never been able to do that before.
Yeah.
So the only thing he hasn't been able to do is really like land that big free agent, but there have been no big free agents.
No,
free agency is dead in the NHL. I mean, he tried to go after Gunsel and didn't get him.
Yeah,
but that you understand that wasn't Gunsel didn't want to come here for 3 years, 4 years of last place before competing. Go to Tampa, try and win right away.
Yeah, but we're getting to the point where pretty soon free agents are not going to hang up. Their agents won't hang up the phone when Kyle Davidson calls. But the other side of the coin is there's so many guys coming up that you're kind of like, well, do you need to go chase free agents because the system is so deep? I mean, yeah, you look, if Connor McDavid ever hits the open market, hell yeah, you go after Connor McDavid. But there's got to be so many guys coming up that at this point it's hard to go long term on anybody before you know exactly what your needs are going to be. These 3 and 4 year deals that Kyle Davidson's signing are good because these guys are playing while the team's taking shape.
Yeah. I mean, look at his re-signing his own guys have been great. The Vlasic deal has worked out well. Great deal. The Nazar deal is going to be an absolute bargain as soon as it kicks in next year. It could be a bargain that quickly. The Kaiser deal, was a real nice work to kind of, gives him 2 more years. We don't know where our defense is going to be in 2 years. Buys everybody time. I like the Spencer Knight deal as well. And he's, getting Spencer Knight for and a first round pick for Seth Jones. And that was a great trade too. And that's a trade that both teams are benefiting from. So there's zero reason to be upset that Kyle Davidson's going to be here for quite a long time. He's earned it.
Okay, now let's get to Rockford in a segment that I'm going to call hog cranking.
Oh boy.
We're going to sit here and crank some hogs.
It's not the first time I've cranked some hogs on the internet today.
Nick Lardis is okay.
Yeah, he's transitioning to the pro game pretty darn well. The AHL Player of the Week for his 2 goals and 7 points over the 3-game weekend. 2 of his 5 assists came on overtime game-winning goals. He actually leads the entire AHL with 8 points. He is the AHL leading scorer right now. That's crazy.
Yeah. Not bad for a 3rd rounder.
I mean, listen, he scored that first one and then boom, got the second one right away. Much like Oliver Moore last week. Get that first one out of your system, and
then you stop pressing.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the AHL scoring, you have Nick Lardis leading with 8 points. Captain Brent Seney is tied for second with 7 points, and in third with 6 points is Oliver Moore.
And if you think it's if you think we're having fun watching Lardis and Moore, how much fun do you think Brett Seeney's having being between those two guys?
Oh yeah, just pass to your left, get an assist. Pass to your right, get an assist. Get to the front of the net,
This
get a goal.
this is the you know this is the best line he's ever skated on in his life.
Yeah,
And
he's not going to be a happy camper come somewhere around Thanksgiving when neither of those guys are in Rockford anymore.
I know. They're both going to come up pretty quickly. The other guy down there, we were talking about surprising the Blackhawks. The other guy who's surprising me down in Rockford, Tage Harding hasn't looked that bad.
He is like Louis Crevier Part 2.
Yeah.
He's like that big, awkward kind of defenseman, but he's growing into his body. He's learning how to play. He skates pretty well.
Yeah.
He's besides being another 6-foot gigantic defenseman, as Jeff Blashill called Louis Crevier the other day.
Yeah.
There's similarities are there between him and Crevier.
Yeah. They're both big boys. And he even looked okay in camp. And yeah, watching him in Rockford, it's like, wow, this guy. I mean, granted, he got his full 4 years of college.
Right.
So he got to develop a lot. And he's adapting to the pro game pretty well. So yeah, he's been a nice surprise. It's nice to see I mentioned Korchinski briefly earlier, and it's nice to see him starting to move the puck better. And he played well in the AHL last year too. And he just needs to get that vision on the ice at NHL speed, and he's gonna be a good defenseman. I mean, this is one of these things I feel like I say it every week, and I probably because I do, which is Kevin Korchinski. You've seen the good defenseman in him. It just has to come out consistently.
Yeah, and that could be said for most 21-year-old defensemen across professional hockey.
Right.
Yeah, the Rockford off to a great start. They won their first 4 games, almost made it 5 in a row yesterday against the Wolves in a crazy game in Rosemont. They fell behind 3-0, then went up 4-3. It was tied at 4. They went up 5-4, and then they ended up losing 6-5. But they're having a lot of fun down there too. And Lardis and Moore are using their speed to just embarrass defensemen out there right now. It's only a matter of time before they're in Chicago and making this Blackhawk team somehow even faster, which is scary.
I know that it's gonna be scary. And I mean, Oliver Moore, I still think he might be the fastest guy in the Hawks organization.
He might be north-south, maybe. I mean, he's definitely. I think so, and he can add a lot to this team. I know they love doing the 11-7, but at some point, you might have too many forwards to be able to do that. I mean, Jason Dickinson might play Thursday. We don't know. Nick Foligno was back today after his daughter had some a heart procedure last week. He talked to us after practice today and let her know that she's already back home and recovering, and she can't wait to get back to school here in a couple of weeks. So that's awesome to hear. Nick Foligno is one of the good
back to school.
Yeah, I know. I would say take my heart to prevent me that I don't ever have to go back to school. But Nick Foligno is one of the good ones, man. I mean, he is a tremendous human being. I got to spend a lot of time with him 2 seasons ago when he was on the CHGO shows with us, and got to have a lot of off the record conversations. And he's one of those guys that, when you see him in the locker room and you don't have your recorder in your hand, he'll come over and chat with you and just want to know what you're doing and what you're up to. And, what you see in his post-game interviews, that's him. That's not an act. That's 24/7 Nick Foligno. So it was great seeing him back today, but he's back in the lineup. So, if I'm Sam Lafferty, I'm having my agent get me the heck out of here because that ain't working. And Lucas Reichel, he had the 3-point game in St. Louis, and it's been a lot of meh since.
Yeah,
which is the story of his career so far.
Yeah. The other thing that I did want to bring up, I know we've talked about like future leaders of the Blackhawks, and I thought it was significant the other night that Alex Vlasic had an A on his sweater.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me. He's another one of those quiet guys, but you know this room, the kids run it now, man. It's their team.
That's great.
The vets that are still here, kind of just like, hey, we got your back, but you kids run because you're here for the long term. We're not. They understand it. They're playing their roles perfectly, and it's been a really great start.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Foligno, they gave him the captain basically to be a mentor, and that he's done a good job. You know, you hear the way the other players talk about him. They look up to him, they respect him, and you know, I mean, if Nick wants to keep playing, great. I don't know that he'll be in Chicago, and I don't know that he'd want to move again. There's certainly a career for him either in the organization or in broadcasting. He's one of those guys. I think he'd be a natural for broadcasting.
I think so, if he wants to do it, or he'd be a really good coach too. Whatever he wants to do, it's there. And the Blackhawks would be the first team to offer him whatever he wanted to do. The organization loves him, and
I
rightfully
think Brett
so.
Seney would be a good coach too.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's a few guys down in Rockford that I think have future coaches written all over them. I'm surprised their captain before Seney, Garrett Mitchell, is another one of those guys that I figure will be a coach one day. I think he's still playing in Europe, but he's definitely a coach in the making as well. And that's kind of what you need out of your veteran captain from, when you have a young team. And Foligno showed that he's not just about mentoring the Blackhawks. I mean, I don't know if you caught the story where, he sent a message to Matthew Schaefer when he made the Islanders, and he's got a little relationship with them because they share the connection of both losing their moms to breast cancer. So, that's just, again, that's who he is, where you don't even have to be on his team, but he'll reach out and make sure you're doing okay.
You know, another possibility would be something in the Players Association.
Yeah.
I could see him doing something like that too.
He'll get to do whatever the heck he wants because every organization would love to have a guy like that be part of it. You never have to worry about what you're going to get from him.
The one other thing I wanted to talk about before we wrapped it up is college hockey's underway.
Yep.
And the Blackhawks have a bunch of guys that are off to really good starts. And Vlatko Nestrasil is off to a really, really nice start at UMass.
Yep.
And, it's funny because last year in the first round, they took Anton Frundell with a 3, and everybody got excited about Mason West at the end of the first round. And I kind of felt like Nestrasil got lost in the mix. And he's sitting there at UMass after 5 games. He's got 5 goals and 7 points.
Had a hat trick.
Yeah.
In one of those games. Yeah.
Yeah. So, he's a guy who I'm like, we've talked about guys that will be here next year. And I always kind of had Nestrasil as a 2-year guy.
Oh, at least. Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe he forces the issue.
Well, I think the good thing is with so much depth in the pool, he doesn't have to. But if he does, great. If not, you don't have to rush any of these guys unless they force their hands and say, "Hey, you can't keep us in the AHL. We're too good."
And as long as we're talking about prospects, you and I both look at the Elite Prospects page, and I would just like to make an open plea to eliteprospects.com. please take Artur Kayamov off the Blackhawks prospect page.
Hey, he's a point per game guy this season.
He's Maxim fucking Shalinov. Get him off of there.
Yeah, when you're 27, you shouldn't be on anybody's prospect page.
When you're 27 and in Russia, you clearly have no interest in coming over.
Yeah. I always get a chuckle out of seeing his name pop up. I'll go and I'll sort it. I'll go into the system tab and I'll sort it by points. And I'll be like, oh, it's Kalyamov. Never mind. I'm like, wow, who's got 12 points in 12 games? Yeah, nope, never mind.
Yeah. And it's funny because apparently I've talked about Nathan Bame a little bit too much because someone called me out on Blue Sky about it. He's my pick to click.
Hey, he's been excellent too. Yeah, he's been excellent too. And he's another one of those third rounders.
Yeah. And, John Mustard, they've only played 3 games in Providence, but he's looked really good. And another third rounder.
Yep.
And, the guy we all know and love, AJ Spellacy, another third rounder. So
yeah,
they've got the high end talent who are going to come in and get really good opportunities, but they've got these guys, third rounders. I mean, Lardis is a third rounder who's not going to be a bottom 6 guy, but a guy like Spellacy, he's a guy you can absolutely see being a solid bottom 6 NHL player for a few years.
Absolutely. And he's got the speed.
I was going to say, he's another fast guy.
Yeah, he's got the speed that fits in. He's not going to slow them down in any way, shape, or form. I wish we could just fast forward to like 2027. Like, it's exciting. But at least the Blackhawks are fun to watch now.
They are fun to watch now. And that's why
you're actually going to be in the game Thursday, right? In Tampa.
You're going there. Okay, I have to tell you, this is really funny. So they're having a giveaway. It's a Tampa Bay Lightning hometown tour t-shirt. And the front of the t-shirt, Tampa Bay Lightning hometown tour. The back of the t-shirt. Now, back in the Hockey Night days, when we had our whole Taint Nugget thing, we actually made a Taint Nugget t-shirt. One Taint Nugget t-shirt was bought. I actually met the person. He actually wore it in Epcot. He wore his Taint Nugget t-shirt in Epcot. And the back of the shirt said U.S. Tour. And what we did was we took the Blackhawks schedule, and those were the dates. And we just had the date, United Center, Chicago, Illinois. Date, United Center, Chicago, Illinois. We did the entire Blackhawks schedule, United Center, Chicago, Illinois, with all the dates. And that was the tour t-shirt. The Tampa Bay Lightning hometown tour t-shirt is the exact same thing. It's the home schedule.
They ripped you off.
They ripped me off. So I'm going to have a Tampa Bay Taint Nugget shirt.
A Tampa Nugget shirt.
Right.
What do you, this is going to be your first chance to see this group in person. What are you most looking forward to seeing?
Just seeing how fast they are in person.
It's impressive.
Seeing how fast they're in person. And, Tampa is a veteran team. They're an experienced team. But, they ain't what they were a few years ago. So this is one of these games where, okay, let's see the cut of their jib because, Tampa does have talent. They do have speed too. I mean, they don't have Colorado speed, but they have speed. And it could be a game that, if the Blackhawks come out and establish themselves, it could be one of those games like the Blues game where it might not be a blowout like the Blues game, but it'll still be one of these where the league kind of sits up and takes notice that these aren't the same old Chicago Blackhawks anymore.
Yeah, this was a game at the beginning when the schedule came out. You're like, chalk that one up to a road loss early in the year, no big deal. And now Tampa's not been great. They're only got 4 points.
And both teams are going to be well rested, that's for sure.
Yeah. And, they still have some veteran players. They still have some good speed and high end talent, but you know what they don't have
Yeah.
anymore? They don't have Jeff Blashill anymore.
That's right.
That's the difference maker right there.
Well, they saw John Cooper.
Yeah, he's all
John
right.
Cooper's no slouch.
I mean, if you listen to Mikhail Sergachev in the offseason, you know, Cooper didn't have a whole lot of say up there.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember, though, if you saw those comments about, you know, Blashill changing the system. It's like, I don't think so. I don't think Cooper would have. John Cooper probably signed off on that.
Yeah. And then they have the Kings this weekend, right?
Yep, and that's another team struggling. Get these teams, you know, they're good teams. These are teams that most people pick to make the playoffs, but they're not struggling. They're not playing well. Both teams are 1-3-2 to start the season. You know, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. You're catching these two teams at the perfect time. You're playing well. Those two teams aren't. Get 4 points. There's no reason you can't win both of those games.
And, you know, it's one of these things where right now it's fun to watch the Blackhawks and like, hey, you know, I don't remember what we had for our expectations, but I think I had the Blackhawks at between 60 and 70 points. And maybe they get to 80. I still don't think they're going to get enough points to make the playoffs, but you know, I would take an 80 or an 85 point season over a, you know, bottom 3 finish. And
right. Oh, for sure.
You know, the talent pool is so, I mean, that's not to say that it wouldn't be great to get Gavin McKenna, but at the same time, you'd like to see the team make some progress.
Right. I mean, listen, they finished with 81 points. That's a 20-point improvement in one season.
Yeah.
That's rare. That's really good. And if it's a 20-point improvement and it's because Connor Bedard is an elite player and Frank Nazar is an elite player and your young defensemen are doing exactly what you want them to do and Spencer Knight has become an elite goaltender, that's all you want. I mean, if you finish with 85,
Oliver Moore come in and start making some noise.
Yeah, and you get this other crop of young guys that come at the end of the year. If this team finishes with 85 points, but it's Teuvo Teravainen, Tyler Bertuzzi, and Nick Foligno leading the points and scoring, that's not a successful year.
No.
So, yeah, they're on pace for 94 points. I don't see that happening. But listen, stranger shit's happened. You know, this team, I think, is too young and naive to like doubt themselves at this point. And things can snowball and you never know, but I'm tempering the expectations. But yeah, I picked them to have 73 points this year, a 12-point improvement. I figured the combination of Spencer Knight and a real NHL coaching staff will get them 6 more wins than last season. And I mean, right now, I would think 73 with the way they've played the first 2 weeks. If they only get 73 points, it might be a little disappointing.
Yeah, and I'll be perfectly happy to admit that I underestimated.
Absolutely. I'll be glad to say, boy, I didn't think they were going to be this good.
Yeah,
because nobody did except them.
All
right. Well, you have fun Thursday night. I'm looking forward to the me and my wife video from the rink at some point on Thursday.
Maybe I'll start sharing those to the second balcony.
Yeah, I think so. I look forward to seeing the Tampa Taint Nugget shirt as well. Hopefully, you bring home 2 points. Yeah, safe travels to and from Tampa. And that's right. If you're on Facebook, look up Second Balcony. Join the Facebook group. We're definitely gonna get a little more active and fun in there as well. Make sure you've subscribed on YouTube. Hit the like button, share, tell your friends, follow along on your podcast formats. I know there's an issue with a couple episodes on the audio version that they're cutting off halfway through. I'm looking into that. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is there, but hopefully we'll have that resolved. And hopefully if you're listening on Spotify, you're hearing this because the show didn't get cut off a half hour ago. But YouTube is always the best place to start. All our shows are on there for sure.
And you keep subscribing, we'll keep cranking hogs.
That's right. I'm just going to hit the music now.